Driving the streets of Cuba takes you back to a time of better relations between Havana and its neighbor to the north. Since the 1959 revolution here and the stroke of U.S. President John F. Kennedy's pen in 1962, U.S. trade with Cuba has virtually ceased. The embargo was an American effort to bring democracy to the island. Other U.S. presidents followed, extending the embargo to foreign countries that trade with Cuba. But in 2009, breaking with half a century of U.S. policy toward communist Cuba, President Barack Obama lifted restrictions on Cuban Americans who want to travel and send money to their Cuban homeland. And with growing calls among a new generation of Cuban Americans to lift the embargo, many in the United States believe the time is now.
The embargo has been counterproductive in bringing democracy to the island.
The Cuban government estimates it has lost more than $1 trillion because of the embargo. Major U.S. agricultural producers say they are losing out as well. It's a point hit home in 2001 when the U.S. began exporting food to Cuba.
It's our hope that these initial shipments and sales to Cuba will serve the purpose of proving the point that it's a logical thing for Cuba and the United States to trade with one another.
In 2014, another historic step as U.S. President Barack Obama moved to normalize relations with Cuba. While the U.S. government did not lift the embargo, it did allow for the sale of much-needed farming and construction supplies to the Cuban people, and the sale of consumer cell phone technology and internet infrastructure to the Cuban government. This change, too, permitted in the name of democracy.
It offers the prospect of telecommunications and the internet being more widely available in Cuba in ways that it hasn't been before. And over time, that chips away at this hermetically sealed society.
But with an economy earning just $121 billion U.S. dollars in 2012, Cuba's buying power is fairly low. Latin American policy analyst Juan Carlos Hidalgo says lifting the travel ban could change that. He says in 2013, nearly 600,000 U.S. travelers visited the long-forbidden island, spending an average of $6 million U.S. dollars a day.
If you remove the travel ban and you allow Americans, all Americans, to travel freely to the island, that could have a huge economic impact on the welfare of the average Cuban family.
Here in the United States, Cuban Americans traditionally vote for Republicans. That's been the party that supported the U.S. embargo against Cuba. But that trend is starting to change. For its part, Cuba is creating its own change. Recent economic reforms allow more small businesses and ownership of private land. The nation is also building a new deep water port in Mariel. But even here, there are limitations linked to the U.S. trade embargo. No ship that docks here can go on to an American port, just 370 kilometers away. Jessica Stone, CCTV, Washington.